Are you having problems with making React code as customizable, reusable, and composable as you want it to be? Don't worry any further, I've got the solution for you. The solution is going to be through applying the compound design pattern into our React code. And today we are going to take a look into one of the use cases in which applying this pattern is going to be very useful. And we're going to easily notice how more convenient code reusability becomes. And without further ado, let's jump into it. So here we have a very simple application. It consists of 3 pages: Netflix, Facebook, and YouTube. And we have postcards for each page. And currently, the postcard consists of a title, description, author name, and buttons. And we can see that this applies to all 3 pages. But let's say at one point your manager came up to you and he was like, okay, we need to remove the author name from the YouTube card, but we need to keep it in the Facebook and Netflix cards. So this sounds very simple, right? And to some extent it is, because we can just have a flag, hide author, as a boolean. We get this within our props, and then we wrap this and we conditionally display it based on the flag. And then we go to YouTube and we pass in the hide author, and it's automatically set to true. And then if we go back and check the YouTube cards, it is hidden, which is good. But what if your component has 7, 8, 9 pieces? You want to display 3, you want to hide the other 4. So that means for you to control each part of your component, you need a flag for it. So if you have 9 parts, you're gonna need 9 flags, which is going to make the code very, very messy. And the second scenario, let's say if you go to the Facebook cards and you want to move the buttons to be on top of the author name and not below it. Can you achieve this using flags? You technically can, but it's going to be quite a messy process. So why don't we try to find the other way, to look into the other way that is going to make it a lot more convenient. So let's go ahead and just remove the hide author flag, remove it from here, and just return this to be always displayed and not dependent on a flag. So now, first of all, we need to look into our thinking process. So what do we need to do here? First off, we need to find the things that could be separated into a different part. So now here we have title, content, username, and buttons. So we can make this component to be nested inside the postcard using this syntax: postcard.title equal to the function of postcard. And you see, Copilot is expecting us to pass a post to this postcard title, which works, but it's not going to make it as convenient as we want it to be. So we're going to remove this, and we are going to just simply grab the header that we had, or the title that we had, and just pass it here. Now we see an issue. We cannot find the post. But before we fix this, let's create the content component. So we do the same thing. Let's create the username or author, and then we have the buttons lastly. Copilot doesn't seem to expect this, so we're just gonna give it a bit of a help. So we're good. Okay, so now we have the issue with accessing the post. So how can we fix this? We can share the prop that is passed here with the child components wrapped within the card using React context. So what we're gonna do as a step 1, we are going to create the context. So we're gonna call it postcard context, and it's going to be react.create context, and then we can set it to undefined as initial value. We can create another type, postcard, maybe context props, and then we say it's either this prop or an undefined. So now we created the context. Now we need to wrap the card component with it. So we are gonna take this and then postcard context dot provider, and we wrap this, and then we close we close our postcard context provider. So step 2. Step 3 is using it in the child component. So we can use constant context equal react dot use context. Then we pass in our context, and then we can access the post through context dot post. And we have this because at some points the context could be undefined. So we are going to copy paste this to here, and then we do the same thing, and we do the same thing for the other one, context dot post dot username. So that's good. So we have the value passing properly, and then currently we are going to find how we can use this nested components within the postcard. So let's take a look into that. So we go ahead by removing this first, and if we go back to the Chrome, we're going to notice these are empty cards, which is expected because we didn't explicitly state which part to render at this component yet. So we go back to Visual Studio Code, okay, and then we go to YouTube, for example. Currently it was a self-enclosing component, but now we are going to change this. So first, we can use Copilot's help. We have the postcard title, content, author, and buttons. Now we have an error. This one is related to the children because we are not getting it here. It's not expecting children to be passed to it. So we get this here, we put it there, and then we add its types, props with children, and that should be good. So if we go back to YouTube, that looks good. So if we go to Chrome, we check Facebook cards are still empty, Netflix cards are still empty, YouTube cards look good. I think this needs a refresh. Yeah, so YouTube cards now look more like the default cards. All right, okay, here comes the fun part. If we go to Facebook, we copy paste and then just paste the same thing here, and okay, we're like, okay, I don't want the author now for Facebook. So if we go back to Facebook, we have the same thing but without the author. If we do the same thing, or maybe let's copy the YouTube card and go to Netflix and just paste it, and we're like, okay, I want the author to be displayed on top of the content. Why not? I can do it. Yeah, so if we go to Netflix, we can see the author is on top of the content. So that's good. And you can imagine how many more scenarios this pattern could fit and could help you into making your code more reusable in a less annoying way. So that's the end of this video. I hope it was useful. If you guys have any questions, you can drop it down below and I'll be happy to answer it as soon as I can. Thank you and have a good day.